what's going on? It's me, Izzy. Welcome back to the IzzyVerse. I'm really happy to have today's show. I was a little worried I wasn't going to be able to make it because I've been a little under the weather the last couple of days. So I managed to start feeling better, and I'm able to give you today's show, which is going to be a big one. We're going to be talking a little bit about all that happened in D23, and we might talk about some more stuff to follow. So I have a great group of guys that are going to join me in a few minutes. But first, I need to talk to you guys about what's coming up in the next couple of days, starting with IzzyFest. Yes, right, guys. IzzyFest is happening. It starts on Sunday, September 18th, and it's going to go all the way to the 24th. And what that means is I'm going to give a prize each day to one of our subscribers. So it's really simple. You need to subscribe to the IzzyVerse, leave a comment, help me out on Instagram, help me out on Twitter, wherever you are. That way, you too can be part of the IzzyVerse IzzyFest giveaway. And I'm going to be showing off a lot of the stuff that throughout today. I'm going to show you a lot of stuff in the giveaway. So be on alert for that. Also, I want everybody to know about some of my affiliates, starting with BCW. With BCW, you can get 10% off using promo code IzzyVerse. And what BCW is, it's a place for you to get your storage supplies for your comics, for your cards, for your vinyl, boxes, bags, boards, whatever you need, they have it, and you can get 10% discount with them. Also, I have an affiliate with Comic Exposure. Comic Exposure is a great place for you to get your comic books online. They're going to be in Comic-Con. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And with my promo code of IzzyVerse, you get 15% off. And I'm glad to announce that next week I will have a Whatnot show. And if you sign up now using this link right here, whatnot.com, invite IzzyVerse, you're not going to get $10 credit. You're going to get $15 credit towards your purchase. And yes, you can get whatever you want. Spend $15. You don't have to spend $15. Whatnot's going to spend $15. I'll take care of it for you. So be on the lookout for that next week on Friday. There's more news coming up along with that. Also, I'm going to bring in one of my guests here because he's going to be joining me this Sunday, and that's Nate. What's up, Nate?
What's up, Izzy?
So me and Nate, we're going to be this Sunday. We're going to be in the Queen's Comic Party. Queen's Comic Party. We got invited yesterday. Apparently, they wanted us back, Nate, man.
Right? We had a small table before, but we made such a big splash that we got invited back.
Yeah, so there you have it, guys. We're going to be this Sunday. And yes, that's the start of IzzyFest. So my first giveaway is going to happen in the Queen's Comic Party. I'm going to leave information in the description below. With that said, I have Nate here. Nate, let's show them one of our IzzyFest prizes that we're going to give away. So you have it with you?
The Spawn book.
Yeah, the Spawn book. So Nate has been so gracious enough to provide us this drawing of Spawn #1, the reprint of Spawn #1. We're giving this one away during IzzyFest. So this is one of the prizes you could win during IzzyFest. It was done by Nate himself. Look at that. Look how beautiful that thing is, man. It's gorgeous, right? Right. Go check it out. All right, let's put that away for now. You're making people jealous. All right. With that said, I'm going to bring in my next two guests here. One is new to the channel. The other one you've seen before in previous ones. Let me first introduce someone that you've seen before, and our good friend, Achilles. What's going on, Achilles?
It's very good to be back.
Yes, Achilles is right in his green room, getting ready for whatever's next.
What's up, Achilles?
And joining us, he actually been on the show a while back when we first started, when we did our Pronto show, but this is his first time back, and I'm bringing the hungry artist, Gary. What's going on, Gary?
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys. All you guys here. We're gonna be talking about MCU and D23. So overall, before we start talking about all the different shows and movies that we learn are happening in D23 from D23, what was your overall opinion of D23? I'll start with the hungry artist.
A lot of great panels, a lot of information, and I just like seeing the lineup of what's going to be coming next with Phase 4 kind of closing up and seeing what we have in store. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. Akila, what was your thought of D23 from what you've seen and heard?
Well, For me, it was, I guess, as being the oldest one in this group, I think by a fair
Are
margin.
you? Not sure that's true.
Yeah, well, I'm 49.
Okay, forget it. You're the ghetto.
Yeah, if anybody's older, by all means, share this group. I mean, it had been a little bit. It had happened a little bit before, but I'm used to like having to wait months, if not years, for something new to come down in terms of TV and movies for superhero stuff. And even if it was crap, you had to be happy just to see that there was somebody on the big screen. So when coming through a summer where there's like one Marvel thing after another, and never mind other things like, let's say, like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and all that coming out with stuff too, it was just a shock to be like, oh my God, this is so much content, trailers all coming at one time, that for me, I was just trying to figure out the timeline here, like how to even absorb that the Thunderbolts are going to happen, when compared to the other stuff. I had only seen the Wakanda trailer much sooner than the rest, so for that I was like really pumped up. But it's a lot to process. I'm not complaining, but it's a lot to process.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about that, because I do want to talk a little bit about San Diego, what we got from San Diego as well. Nate, what was your overall impression of D23?
I might be the only one, but I was a little bit underwhelmed.
You're not. You're not. You're definitely not.
Because there's so much stuff that we were knowledgeable on when it came to San Diego Comic-Con that I thought would come to light at D23, but we didn't get to see it. Like Ant-Man. There was a trailer that came out for that, for SDCC, but we didn't see that with D23, and I thought that we would. Guardians of the Galaxy. We didn't see that, as well as I think there was a Black Panther clip that wasn't released.
Mm-hmm. But the Black Panther Wakanda Forever, they did show it in San Diego, and then I guess they showed it again here, in D23. But you're right in saying a lot of those things.
Released.
The Marvels,
yeah, stuff like that. Like I feel like we're missing some stuff, and Lord knows why. There could be stuff that they're still working on, trailers and CGI that they want to get right before they reveal any of it. But I did think we will get a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you. I totally agree with you. I think what D23 was last year was so much better than what it was this year. My opinion of this year's D23 was we got a few things. I think the two biggest things we got was the Secret Invasion, as well as the Thunderbolt announcement. Yeah. But we weren't expecting a Thunderbolt announcement. I think
not at all.
Most of us were expecting was a Fantastic Four announcement. That was the big thing
of Phase 5.
Yeah, so we didn't get that. Even though I remember on Saturday I was doing a show, I was doing ZapCon, and hey, what's up, guys in ZapCon? That was a great show. I'm just glad I was there. I was getting information of who was going to be in the Fantastic Four, and it turns out that wasn't true. And they never made an announcement of Fantastic Four, even though that was the big thing going into D23. Everybody's like, "Oh, who's going to be the Fantastic Four?" They were throwing out names. I heard at one occasion Henry Cavill was going to play Doctor Doom. John Krasinski returning, but it didn't happen, and it was like, that's a bummer. But we did get the Thunderbolts. We did get our first trailer for Secret Invasion, and surprisingly to me, I don't know about you guys, we got a trailer for something that's coming up really soon, and that's Werewolf by Night, which I didn't see coming. Like I heard about it, but I didn't think it was so soon.
I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah. So let's start off, and we're gonna kick it off with a Secret Invasion. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna put up the trailer. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not gonna put the order. We're gonna talk to what we see. Okay, so we're gonna talk to what we see. So let's go ahead and get that trailer ready, and let's then talk a little bit about it. All right, let's hit that play button. So immediately we got this whole scene that's about to start, where it's almost like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Remember that movie?
Yes.
You remember that movie, right? You were like 20. All right, we get here we are. And so we have Nick Fury coming in. He's about to talk to Mary Hill,
Maria
right?
Hill, yeah.
Maria Hill, yeah, Maria Hill. See that, right? So she's like, I've called you so many times, you don't answer. He's like, dude, I'm in space. That's what I would say, right? So you take a look at it. This is one of my favorite scenes that we're about to see here. But he's talking to Rhodey. So obviously Rhodey, look who's back.
Everett Ross.
Everett Ross. I don't know who that lady's playing though, but Talos is. I'm happy to see it. Like he looks amazing. Ben Mills. This scene right here is like, and the look at his face is like, oh crap, what just happened? You get this explosion. Now I don't know who this woman is.
I'm assuming she's a Skrull.
You think she's a Skrull?
Yeah.
I think Rhodey might be a Skrull.
Well, that's the nice thing is you know, one thing I'm a little disappointed about is that it's mainly going to be Nick Fury and Maria Hill, but really with Skrulls, any character can show up because they can make an appearance or cameo as a Skrull. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we got that. And there's our trailer for Secret Invasion. So let's stop sharing the screen for a second and let's start talking a little bit about Secret Invasion. So Gary, the floor is yours to talk a little bit about Secret Invasion and what we know about
Invasion. We know that we set it up with Captain Marvel. We saw the Skrulls.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with them, they've been around in the comic universe for a while, dating back to Fantastic Four. And in the movie, we saw, kind of the switcheroo. We thought they were going to be the bad guy. You find out they're kind of on the run, which was a nice twist. I kind of liked it. But knowing the Skrulls from the comic, I wanted to see where they could go with it because the Secret Invasion comic, when this one came out, I love this comic. I thought it was a good one. It really dove into what can happen when, Battlestar Galactica was kind of the same way with that series, where when you have people that you don't know who it could be, you have these different ways of being mysterious with it, which is in the vein of Nick Fury and Maria Hill and S.H.I.E.L.D. Anyone, they could be anyone, they could be anywhere. And that comic really, really did that, where the Skrulls were just invading our planet. And you didn't know who was a Skrull. They had been here for years. And we've seen this kind of coming out in series. We saw it in She-Hulk. If you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert. And if you haven't, catch up. But Hulk's off planet, going to do something, presumably helping out Nick Fury. Nick Fury was away at the end of Captain Marvel. We saw him, up in space. Wow, the Skrulls, the whole Nick Fury the whole time had been a Skrull. So,
we got that in Spider-Man. Didn't we get that in Spider-Man? A while ago.
Spider-Man, you're right. Yeah.
We got that in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not even the last one. It was the one before that, right?
Yeah. Not
Far From Home.
Far From Home. Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah. So they've been setting up this, leading to this. So I hope it delivers and has a nice bang with it. So
and I think with the Secret Invasion storyline in the comic book, as we were talking earlier before the show started, it started off that we didn't know what was going on. That you had the new Avengers, which consists of pretty much the powerhouse Avengers team, right? Like the big guns. That's where they threw in Wolverine and Spider-Man into the Avengers. Achilles, I know. But it's at least those are the new Avengers, not the actual Avengers. But it started off the story, and it turned out that Elektra was a Skrull. And I think what we're going to end up seeing, what was going to end up happening is they're going to contain the storyline where in the comic book, it was like a full-blown event. I remember how big it was in the comics, right? So, and it was one of those storylines, like every issue that came, you were like, who's a Skrull? Who's a Skrull? And everybody's like nitpicking who's a Skrull, right?
Yeah.
And it turned out that Spider-Woman was a Skrull, and there was a couple of other ones that were there as well. But it was all part of this whole elaborate plan, which is connected because we also get the Illuminati from there. And the Illuminati was a big part of this storyline as well. But we kind of got the Illuminati already in
Well, we
the
got
MCU.
we got that Earth's Illuminati team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is there an Illuminati team in the 616 universe? I don't know.
I would say, hearing you talk about the comic and reminiscing on it, that's my biggest gripe about it. As much as I'm excited to see Nick Fury actually headlining a show, and especially because you can tell with the scrolls with that they could be anyone, anywhere, and the elements of espionage that are going to go into it is fun. But this could have been a big climax to a phase. I mean, this could have been a really huge event that could have been spanning a whole thing, and still could be part of it, but it doesn't feel that way. So that's my early critique of it. I really think it could be so much bigger than a 6-episode series, but I'm excited to see what it is. So
yeah, Achilles, you've been quiet.
Well,
any thoughts?
You think that maybe, like, let's say with the television series, that they explore the scrolls, like you said, that they're not like in the comics, like this enemy, alien attack and stuff like that. That it's just this version for the TV show. But let's say after however many phases and Kang and all that goes by the wayside, that then they can have this, something can go down where the scrolls are now evil and really making a big event of it. That this is just a setup for something that would happen much further down the line.
Yeah, and with the scrolls, they're Fantastic Four villains. Mm-hmm. Really, they started as a Fantastic, because you had Super Skrull, which I'm sure we might be able to see in the show. Yeah. That character that Talos is approaching, that you see the whole bunch of them. I think he may be involved in being Super Skrull, which could eventually lead us to the Fantastic Four. Because one thing I'm noticing, especially going on right now, is that we have a lot of different stories in different corners, but they all seem to kind of like intersect in some way or another.
Yeah,
I'm starting to see an intersection happening.
Well, you kind of have two threads, though. You have the multiverse with Kang going one way, but then you also have a space. A lot of heroes are going to space. Mm-hmm. You've got the scrolls, so you kind of have these two paths, and you have it getting much bigger with Guardians of the Galaxy, Inhumans. Everything could go that way, but
then if you look at with Thanos, when watching Endgame and then the blip happens, and 5 years later, who would have thought that 5-year gap would play into so many storylines down the road?
Yeah.
Even in the
I'll tell you who it is. Kevin Feige.
And the way they discussed, and I think that was the first time that they showed somebody, dealing with the blip and all that in this, like, where did my life go kind of a thing. So the same way that one event, that only with the rest of the storytelling you see how it plays out, I think, like, you're right, Gary, they could possibly, because with all these different TV shows, they can make some event happen, and then every TV show can just show their spin, their after effect, or ripple effect from something that would happen, whether it be the scrolls or with Kang. I mean, if they make both things one event, that seems a little big.
So in the comic books, the Skrull had a big part because they were a big Kree-Skrull war that spanned not just years, decades, right? I remember the first Kree-Skrull war happened in the very late 70s. So that was a long time ago, and it just kept escalating, that war between those two groups. Yeah. And the Skrull ended up being the true villains, where in Captain Marvel, they kind of flipped it a little bit. Even though the Kree wasn't necessarily good guys, they were more like in-betweeners in that way. And but what they did in Captain Marvel is when they turned Skrulls into pretty much good people, right? And it was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh man, that's not the Skrulls I want. The Skrulls I want are they're ruthless killers, right? But then again, now we're seeing this Secret Invasion. It's all about the Skrulls. You cannot do Secret Invasions without the Skrulls. And more importantly, where would that lead to? Because I think what's going to end up happening is, like you said, Gary, I think it's going to be a bit of a ripple effect that's going to start with Secret Invasion, that's going to tie into the next show, which is Armor Wars. Because why is Rhodey there?
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to my mindset of, is that really Rhodey? So
Right.
now I'm starting to play this game in my head. Who's a Skrull? Because that's how the comic book was. The comic book really was who's a Skrull, who is not a. And they revealed a lot of people as being Skrulls. Where you at the end, where it's like, holy crap! And it was a good way for Marvel to just retcon a whole bunch of stuff, right? Because it really was. That's what it was. Let's retcon Elektra. Okay, how we do it? This is how we
Last
do it.
10 years, she's been a Skrull.
She's been a Skrull for 10 years. Right? Let's retcon this person. Let's retcon. But it also led to repercussions to where the Illuminati comes in and dealing with the threats that are coming in without sharing that information with the larger group. So I'm hopeful for this show. I think the show's going to be good, but I'm with Gary in saying that this had the possibility of being a bigger event, and it feels like it's in this little area here where it could have been in a bigger place.
Right.
You could have made an adventure movie out of it.
I just hope, if you remember this from the comics, that when they do Fantastic Four, they keep the storyline where the Human Torch married a Skrull and they had an egg baby. Does anyone remember that? That's going.
I forgot about that story. But was it one of them a Skrull? I'm trying to remember. Was Sue a Skrull?
Sue was. Because the only thing I ever read was when they all went, like all the people who had been that the Skrulls were impersonating, all of them seemed to be in like some kind of
they were in prison.
Some weird spaceship thing. So the only
like
comic I ever saw was when they were all like coming out of this giant spaceship, and I was like, how many bathrooms or porta potties did they have in this thing? These people just sitting there for however long.
Well, you thought they were gonna do like an Austin Powers scene where they just all go to the bathroom and just there like just pee. That would be a great scene though. Just seeing everybody go to the bathroom for a moment.
But I remember that Invisible Woman did come out of that whatever contraction.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of people that came out, and when they had the major war where all the Skrulls came out and then all the heroes came out. And what was interesting is like some of these heroes were gone for years. I think Hawkeye was one of them too, if I'm not mistaken. Hawkeye could have been one. I honestly thought Black Widow was going to be a Skrull. That's what I thought the ending of Black Widow was going to be.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought would have been really cool approach to it. Like somewhere along
be very careful, because even with the comics, is that when you say, "Oh, Hawkeye's been a Skrull for the past 10 years," so all right, so the amount of money I spent on Hawkeye comics, I wasn't even getting.
They already got your money, buddy. They don't care.
Yeah,
dude, man, they did it to Spider-Man. They did it to Spider-Man. They did it to Spider-Man. Don't ever forget One More Day.
No.
Yes.
They did it to Spider-Man.
I'm a DC fan, so who am I to, I can
walking around with a Deadpool shirt.
The shirt is comfortable. Leave him alone.
That's a good one. All right, let's go to our next show that was revealed that kind of for me just came out of nowhere, right? And that is Marvel Studios special presentation. I love the way they did it. They made it like the old CBS shows. Mm-hmm. If you remember as a kid, CBS used to have the special. They had this little logo thing that pop up, CBS special. And this is going to be a Halloween special. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next show from MCU, right? Because after She-Hulk, we're going to get this. And that is, let's go ahead and get this video ready. Now, you guys tell me what you think when you see this thing. Right? You got this nice little, look at that. I remember that as a kid, man. CBS specials, that's what that was. A Marvel Studios special presentation of one of the most cheesiest grindhouse movies they've ever done.
I don't think it's cheesy. I don't think it looks like Grindhouse. I think it looks like it's a homage to like the black and white horror films that started it all.
Oh, look at that.
I think that's what it was meant to mimic in a sense, like those old Dracula movies and the Frankenstein and the Creature of the Blue Lagoon, all that stuff. And they came out with Werewolf by Night.
Yeah. I originally thought that lady was Jessica Jones for a second.
Yes,
she look like?
It looks just like Jessica Jones.
You get Man-Thing coming out pretty soon. Where is he?
And this is alleged. This comes out in October.
Yeah,
So this is like a Halloween thing. I love it.
It's a Halloween special. It's
The
coming out very
idea.
soon. Look at that. That was Man Thing. We just saw him. It was really quick.
Yeah.
There he is. You saw him?
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie. This looks pretty gruesome. Even in the black and white standards.
It's a good way for them to get blood splatter without having to censor the red blood on the characters.
Yeah, look at that. And Disney Plus. So let's talk a little bit about Werewolf by Night, right? Because that's the next show that's coming up from Disney. So Werewolf by Night is it's an interesting one because that introduces us to Marvel's Bronze Age of comics. Which Bronze Age of comics happened in the 70s. And what Marvel was doing is they were trying to get away. They were trying to go around the comics code at this time.
Yes.
Right? So they were dancing around the comics code so they could get supernatural characters. And really, Werewolf by Night was one of those series that came out. It doesn't have that much significance, as in who this character is, what's so special about this character. But one of the things that this character did introduce to us was the supernatural elements within the Marvel universe that will later become the Midnight Suns. So from Werewolf by Night, we end up getting Ghost Rider, we get Blade, we get Moon Knight, we get even Mobius, right? Even though Mobius is part of a different world, he's really a Spider-Man character.
Yeah.
But Dracula, the Tomb of Dracula. So we get all these supernatural elements, really the Universal Horror Picture Shows, right? We don't have Frankenstein. That's who we don't have. And we end up getting, remember Franken Punisher? Or Punisher sign? I remember that. That was a weird thing. But what do you guys know about Werewolf by Night? Because there's not much.
Nah. Well,
He's a werewolf?
He's a werewolf.
At night.
Yeah, by night. As opposed to by day.
Well, I do like you said, this came out of nowhere. And, two of the things that right now people are hating on the most is one, you hear all the time people saying every Marvel show or movie is the same thing recycled. Well, this feels really different and new and fresh. The other problem though is Phase 4, things have really become spread out. A lot of standalone with maybe a cameo just to set up another show.
Yeah.
And this one does feel a lot more like a standalone special. So I'm hoping it goes the way you said with, introducing some of these characters that we can start to see in a darker, horror genre in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, because we first touched upon the horror genre with Doctor Strange, even though it wasn't a full horror picture. But come on, you got Sam Raimi in there, right?
I would let my kids see it. I was like, nope, not yet.
You're not PG-13 ready.
No.
You were saying, Nate? What were you gonna say?
I like this because it introduces we see a lot of stuff like that. I feel like, excuse me, I'm rambling. I feel like we're gonna see a lot of these lesser known characters pop up now to bring and revitalize them in some aspect, because Werewolf by Night is a lesser known character, 100%. But the special is gonna spotlight them, and it's gonna give them our audience that comes just from the movies and the shows, who are new comic book readers, the urge to read the origins and date back. But that also gives light to a bunch of characters on the way to getting from let's start and learn these old characters and then let's read our way forward,
Yeah,
for new readers.
Like Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze,
Yes,
we're gonna get Blade's return, right? Blade is coming back. Yeah. Mahershala Ali is coming back.
Like for I hate to spiral into old Marvel stuff, but Eternals, it gave us the Black Knight. In some aspect, it gave that character a little bit of spotlight. And now, when you go to a comic book shop that caters to the stuff that's hot right now, you see a lot of those comics touch the shelves again, or get their spotlight, and then there's people picking it up because they want to read these origin stories. So I like that Marvel does that.
Yeah, another character we see, and I mentioned it, was Man Thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and Achilles, you laughing now, so now you realize what a Man Thing is. Man Thing was Marvel's answer to the Swamp Thing. He really was, and but it wasn't. He's not one of those characters that has There's not much about him. He's just there.
Did he ever interact with other Marvel?
Oh yeah, he
Yes.
did. He did. He did. But he was never. He never had was given like a true origin, a true story. Even though I'm sure that ones exist, but nothing that's been lasting. So one of the things that I know the MCU can do, and I know they like doing, is they like taking these characters that people don't know much about other than name, and giving them their own twist to it, right? Because no one's gonna complain about it.
Yeah.
Right? No one's gonna complain. Even those that are diehard fans, they're like, I don't care. All right, I like it better. You know what I mean? It's like that with him.
But jumping back to what I was saying about the lesser known characters, again, here's another lesser known character who's getting a little bit of spotlight. And you know, the people who know him, like, to be honest, like, I don't read much Man Thing. I'm not hunting his.
There's not much to read, trust me.
But seeing him in the trailer, I know who he is. It's a holy shit moment. Like, excuse my language, I'm so sorry. It's one of those moments where I'm like, oh, he's in the show, and we're getting more of these characters. Like, they're throwing up, you know.
It's quite possible that Man Thing could have come
for Swamp Thing.
Yeah, but there are comparisons between the two. I know that much. So, hey, Jimmy Lee, good to see you, man. Another character that was a big part of Werewolf by Night. In fact, he made his first appearance in Werewolf by Night, and that is my good pal Mark Spectra, the Moon Knight, who his show just finished not that long ago. I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. I'm looking forward to more seasons because I know there's going to be more, even though they cleaned it as not, but there will be more. Okay, so my question for you guys is, will he show up?
That's a tough one. I don't think he's going to show up in that show, even though his origins reach, you know, Werewolf by Night, but Marvel has a tendency of saying we might get cameos, but you truly never know. You know?
Like introduce us to the Fantastic Four cast, but not give it to us on D23. Are you trying to say something?
well, but on the flip side, you got She-Hulk, where she can't turn across the corner in the hallway without having a cameo pop up. So,
and we were supposed to get so much in. We're going to sidetrack right here, but with She-Hulk, you just opened a can of worms with me because we were supposed to see more of the Thing, or the Thing in general. We were supposed to get that. They made a big thing about, Daredevil's going to be so different. This is a 6-episode series, and we're 5.
No, it's 8. It's actually 8. It's 8.
Is it? Oh, never mind. I'm wrong. I thought we were getting 1 episode left with Daredevil.
No, we still got Daredevil's the next episode, man. Next episode, Daredevil.
I thought it was 6 also.
Yeah, that's why I said, we're spiraling down to the last episode, and we still haven't seen a lot of the names that were announced.
Yeah.
But Marvel likes to keep us on our toes because everybody now, the famous cameo that everybody's been let down with is what? Mephisto.
Yeah.
Mephisto's everywhere.
Yeah, but that was the fans, I think, that kept speculating. Here he comes. Here he comes.
You know, so the whole WandaVision of it all, right? We want to go there. Let's go there. The whole WandaVision of it all, it did give us a lot of Mephisto vibes. So did Loki. Loki did the same thing.
Yes.
And I think that is what Marvel does. That's what MCU does. They give us stuff that makes us speculate.
Yes.
Because when you think about the Mephisto of it all, right? WandaVision, it made sense that was Mephisto dealing with that, right? Instead of Agatha. When you think of Loki, where we had scenes where it was like, oh, they're talking about Mephisto because it was obvious. Then you give us Spider-Man, No Way Home, based off a story that guess who was in it? Mephisto. Right? And then you give us Moon Knight, who is being haunted by Khonshu, right?
Khonshu.
I was gonna say Khonshu. But what's that? It's all related to the supernatural. So I think Mephisto is gonna show up eventually. When is a good question. But again, Doctor Strange also teased this Mephisto. So I think they're just trying to plant it so that we keep guessing.
Well, but there's a difference between, let's say, like Mephisto, who we have not seen, and they're just taunting it. It's very smart to don't give the fans what they want at the exact moment that they expect to have it, sure. But with something like Moon Knight, by putting him in the Werewolf Halloween special, to me, it's just smart business to go ahead and say, instead of creating promos and trailers and stuff like that, by just placing him in the smallest of cameo in Werewolf will do more for Moon Knight in terms of promotion and all of that than giving, throwing out 5 different commercials for him. So I would expect to see him in some capacity. It doesn't have to be obviously right.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think we'll see him in a cameo, whether it's an end credit scene or something like that. I honestly think because the only thing that Werewolf by Night has that's going for it is the fact that this is where Moon Knight debuted. Everything else about Werewolf by Night is like, it's there. It was a comic book in the 70s.
Yeah.
It had a few revivals, but none of them really stood the test of time. I can't even tell you who is Werewolf by Night, and I'm a person that knows my comic books pretty well. And he's just one of those characters. Like, yeah, he's there.
Well,
he's just there.
It feels like having that horror genre will give you a chance for characters like Man-Thing, where people know him, they know his name, but like you said, we don't know much about him. I think he would fit in this type of story, this type of genre, and I think you're gonna see a lot more if it continues, especially if they have a special every Halloween. Who's a name but we don't know where to fit him? He'll fit in here. We might see a lot of that, smaller characters.
Yeah, and it's just there to give the diehard fans something to say. Oh my goodness, this guy's there, and then people start asking the questions like, "Who is that guy?" Well, that's Man-Thing. Well, who's Man-Thing? Well, he's just Man-Thing.
Yeah, go read some books and learn a little bit about him that you can.
I know another fun little show that they showed us a little bit. Movie, Thunderbolts.
Yes.
Woo, Nate, talk to me a little bit about the Thunderbolts. But before we even talk about we don't have a trailer for the Thunderbolts because there was no trailer for the Thunderbolts.
There was just a team announcement. Because we're so far away from the Thunderbolts. It's the cap of Phase 5. It's the end of Phase 5. The team is not the team that we would have guessed, to be honest.
But we're not surprised either. I'm not surprised by what I saw.
Well, when it comes up to team-up movies or anything like this, it's always going to be different. Like when we saw Civil War was 100% different from what we expected in the comics. But it's, how I would put it, is the MCU's version of this team-up or version of this event. So like in the original Thunderbolts, we got Fixer, we got Beetle, we had, Goliath, we had...
Moonstone,
and...
there was Songbird. Screaming Mimi was the villain, but Songbird was her alias.
Yes, Songbird was the
So let's talk a little bit about the comic book version of the Thunderbolts before we get into the actual cast of the Thunderbolts.
Yes.
What made them very different, especially when they first came out?
It was a team of anti-heroes.
They weren't anti-heroes. They were villains.
Yeah,
they were villains. They weren't anti-heroes.
Disguised as heroes.
Disguised as heroes, yes. Right?
And then we've seen that reiterated so many times. But this came out. What was it? The Thunderbolts came out in '97.
Something like that. Yeah, they were. So the Thunderbolts first debuted in Pages of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
the Pages of the Incredible Hulk, and then there was a lot of hype around them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, who is this group of new heroes coming out, right? Because Marvel was giving us some new characters, and the Thunderbolts was something fresh, something different, and they could have just been another knockoff of the Avengers, right? Because they really came across as a knockoff of the Avengers, right? So you had a character called Citizen V, right? Who had he had the American flag and all that fun stuff, and then these other characters. Now, there was another one, the Giant Man, who was called Atlas. I remember, and it turns out that we get their first appearance in Incredible Hulk, and then we got their first issue. So they said we got a new book called the Thunderbolts, and they're going to debut. And then at the very end is when we find out that it was Baron Zemo and the Masters of Evil.
Yes.
Right? And all of those characters were... Screaming Mimi was one of them.
Songbird.
Songbird, yeah. I remember when the combo came out and everybody was talking about it. It was all over. it was such a big deal because it was like, oh my goodness, they never did anything like this before, where they were heroes in disguise, but they were actually villains. What we end up seeing and what we're getting is not that. What we're getting is completely different. We're getting more on the lines of Marvel's answer to the Suicide Squad without putting them on suicide missions.
Yeah.
Right? So
I agree with that comment. It is Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad, in my opinion. This team, again, we didn't expect this team. I feel like we were gonna get a Red Hulk, but because of the passing of, I forget his name,
William Hurt.
William Hurt. Yes, that's a hard cast that you have to. All right, now let's figure out how we would integrate a new actor if we're gonna introduce him, or we're gonna use the second Red Hulk, or however they want to do it. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like
they could do what Roy Jones. What's his name? The name's escaping me. I said it last time. Something Jones. Rick Jones. Why am I saying Roy Jones? Roy Jones is a boxer.
Yes. I feel like that's why Red Guardian probably got added to the team.
Mm-hmm.
He's there, the super soldier, and this team is very odd, but I feel like there's a lot of mixed feelings inside this team in general. Like you have Yelena, who's on the team now, and I feel like her and Red Guardian might be the comic relief who are going to bicker back and forth. I feel like Ghost is just there because she's like a spy, and that's where we're going to use her, even though we have Yelena, who's also a super spy, right? Winter Soldier was, the wildest card.
But he was actually in the Thunderbolts at one time. He was a member of the Thunderbolts.
Absolutely in the comics, but like if you bring this to the MCU's aspect of it, everybody's like, oh, he's a hero. Why would he join the Thunderbolts? And I was actually having this conversation with a friend of mine. I said, well, you have John Walker and you have Red Guardian. You have two other super soldiers who are in this group, and I feel like Bucky's only there to make sure nothing happens with them, where their blood is taken to experiment and make more super soldiers. I feel like that's kind of his mission, his current mission in the MCU. And he's just trying to keep tabs on that.
Well, and doesn't he also feel like he's a villain? Like in terms of like in his TV show, he was always trying to like repay that.
He has a redemption. Yeah.
And I feel like I like his spotlight, but for him to be there as the one who's trying to keep track of other super soldiers, if that's the way they go with that storyline, it makes sense because it's not like he is the strongest super soldier. Again, when you go back to all the MCU, I was talking about this as well with another friend. Bucky has never beat another super soldier in the MCU hand to hand. You can watch any movie or show he's in; he has never won a fight. So that kind of
Winter Soldier, on the other hand,
Winter Soldier is a beast. Winter Soldier only goes and he's a hitman and he regular human beings. But I feel like that's his role there, and then you just have Taskmaster as the quiet one who does whatever they say.
Yeah, Taskmaster is the one they messed up big time. Mm-hmm. Taskmaster was the character in the comic books that was so cool. It was the Taskmaster will mimic other people. That was it was
something Masters was his name. I forget.
He was a mutant. Taskmaster's a mutant in the comics.
Yeah,
and that's his mutant ability to mimic other people. Where what they did in Black Widow, and I'll be honest with you guys, I was not crazy about Black Widow. I was not feeling that movie. I felt like it was a little too late for it.
It was out of place at the time.
Yeah, it was out of place. It was like a way to give, Scarlett Johansson a nice little send off, but she had a send off. Mm-hmm. And a way to bring in Yelena. That's really what it boils down. It was to bring in Yelena in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So they dropped the ball on Taskmaster. I hope this helped build Taskmaster to the character that Taskmaster is in the comics. But I'm not sure. We have 3 characters, maybe 4, who are shield holders, if you remember.
That's true.
We have 4 super soldiers. They just also happen to be shield holders.
And can I say one thing about this poster when it was presented to everybody?
Yeah.
I noticed, and I don't know if this is true or if this even gets that deep, But a lot of people also were shocked about Winter Soldier being there. But I would like to point out that they are in like an arena and people are cheering their names. But John Walker is still unhinged. Look at him. He's the only one covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're battle scarred, because if you look at Yelena, she got a scar in her face.
And I feel like but John Walker's like top to bottom. Like his blood,
well, Bucky, I feel like you said, he's definitely there to watch him, I think, too, because they have that connection from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and you need a super soldier to keep tabs on, because imagine a regular Yelena trying to stop him from swinging his shield or punching somebody. He's going to get hit by a super soldier. So Bucky is probably the grounded one who's trying to keep the team on a narrow, straight path. But again, Lord knows which way they're going to go with this.
Yeah. This is the one that I'm more skeptical on everything. First of all, you got to show me a first trailer. Once you show me a first trailer, maybe you get me sold. But again, it's an MCU movie. I'm going to see it. You got my money, right? At this point, you got my money.
MCU project, right?
Well, Izzy, I think we talked about this before. I think giving it the name Thunderbolts, which was a shock, because we knew they were leading to a team that was going to be, edgier or darker. But to me, I kept saying, they're going to have a dark, same way they're setting up a Young Avengers.
This is the Dark Avengers.
Way more like the Dark Avengers, where Norman Osborn was the Iron Patriot, and it was some of the heroes were
you had
villains.
You had different. You had villains playing
dark versions of the people that you already know. Like Venom was their Spider-Man, and
Bullseye was their
their Hawkeye.
Bullseye was their Hawkeye. You had Venom was their Spider-Man. You had this girl who was in the Thunderbolts. She was like Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of them. You had Red Hulk. He was part of the team, I believe, at a while. And it was just all. Dakin was their Wolverine.
Yeah,
remember.
I think if you just in your head call this Dark Avengers instead of Thunderbolts, you might go into it with higher expectations. Or
because
that could have been a movie where they literally promoted it as the next hero team. I know Marvel wouldn't, because they'd probably lose money on it, but the fans who know the comic would be like, no, these aren't heroes. And then once you go in, you see like,
but that's the thing that you could have done. I think you could have done it in another show and introduced them that way. Yeah, kind of like the way they did it, kind of the same way they did it in the comic book, where we get introduced to them through Incredible Hulk. It wasn't that until that first issue of Thunderbolts that we find out that they were villains. The other aspect of this, if you're gonna call a team Thunderbolts, you got to put Zemo in there somewhere, and I think Zemo is going to be a big part of this movie. I think he honestly has to be.
I think I'm the only one out of the four of us who never read or knew of the Thunderbolts comic. So it's to me, it is the difference between when a movie comes out and let's say you guys read the book and you're like, well, I know what the book is like. I read Lord of the Rings. So now watching the Lord of the Rings movie, you come at it with a different perspective. Versus to me, whether they were called Dark Avengers or Thunderbolts, well, it's one and the same. I never heard of Thunderbolts before. So to me, seeing that team, just seeing that poster, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. Not having anything to compare it to, which is what I think most people.
Oh yeah, I agree.
This business was built on our nerd dollars. They need to
and that's something that I'd be curious to see what you guys think of. In that, when I when I had gone to a panel and they were talking about The Walking Dead, and there was somebody who was complaining about the fact that they never would show commercials for The Walking Dead comic books, right? They're like, this is back when the show was like, still with all the crazy ratings.
Relevant.
And they're like, why can't they? And the response from AMC was, the amount of money made from those comics is just not even a drop in the bucket. It just wasn't worth their time because of all the other stuff. Now, the video games, of course, is a different story, and that they did do commercials for. So when Marvel is coming out with something like Thunderbolts, and somebody in the room says, well, in the comics, it was like X, Y, and Z. I wonder what the MCU says, how much do we really need to care what those nerd dollars went to?
Well, here, yeah, I know
I
your
care.
point. I agree to your point to a certain extent, Achilles. One thing I will say about the Thunderbolts within the comics, there's different renditions of the team.
Oh yes,
There's a
100%.
lot. The Thunderbolts have gone through a lot of changes in just a short amount of time that they've been around, because they really haven't been around that long. They're about 20 years old, which in comic book world today is not a lot. All right, but the original the concept behind the Thunderbolts was the fact that they were villains playing as heroes for a very, very long time.
Yes.
Right? It was afterwards that they did it. And yeah, I agree. This is more of a Dark Avengers. And instead of calling them Dark Avengers, which probably wouldn't have made sense, like, oh, why we're going to make a Dark Avengers, right? Because again, Dark Avengers was called Dark Avengers because in the actual comic, they were called the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
But
It
the
was different
comic
team.
book was Dark Avengers, right?
Mhm.
So here's one of those situations where they're taking the name. And one thing that MCU does like to do is they like to sprinkle things into a team, right? Into a story. So we like Civil War, like you mentioned Civil War. We didn't get the Civil War that we got in the comics
Oh, not at
because,
all.
quite frankly, it's too complex, right? The comic book version is very complex with what had happened. Right? Because in the comic book, that's when Spider-Man revealed his identity. That's when Punisher took Captain America's uniform and started wearing it. That's where we end up getting Iron Spider. Yeah, you're laughing because you forgot about that, didn't you?
No, I mean, I loved it. Civil War. To me, was the best thing that came out of Marvel, and all of the
Oh, it was a
spin-off
great
stuff.
story.
That it encompassed the whole universe.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that came out of it,
Yeah.
right? But they didn't. But of course, for Captain America: Civil War, believe it or not, that wasn't even the original title of that movie. They ended up calling it afterwards,
It
Civil
was
War.
what, Captain America and Serpent Society? Or
That
something
was
like that?
actually the second movie. The Winter Soldier was called
Oh,
Serpent Society.
Civil
Alright.
War was what?
Civil War. I forgot what was the original title for the name. So we could be having movies that have been given these titles, and
Yeah.
they may not even end up with the titles. Like the next Captain America movie is called New World Order, and the villain's the leader. You know what I mean? I'm like, the leader is your villain? That doesn't make sense to me because the leader's a Hulk villain.
They do the Hulk so dirty.
Well,
I mean,
That's a universal rights issue. That's what that is.
yeah, that's why he only
True.
even Planet Hulk was,
Ragnarok was Planet Hulk.
Well,
they
well,
had
we're-
to because they didn't have the rights.
We're getting a World War Hulk movie or project. I don't know if it's a show. And I love the fact that, spoiler alert for She-Hulk, everybody. Spoiler alert. We can see we might see the Hulk go back to the Contest of Champions. The ship that stopped, again, spoiler alert,
He's
in
going back to
She-Hulk
Sakaar.
Yeah.
is the Sicarian ship
That's
that was
true.
able to make it through the wormhole.
Mhm.
That's why they use the ship, and it's the same exact ship that picks him up and he takes back. So he might be going right back to Sakaar,
Yeah.
and
Because
he
he
might
got
fight
he
in the
because he got a little baby. He got a little baby. That could be the
So, let's see.
introduction of Hulkling, even though in the comic books Hulkling's a very different character who's a
Mhm.
Skrull. Hulkling's
Yes.
a Skrull. So they're taking all these elements and making it their own. That's what they're doing. MCU is definitely not the comic book, but what they do is that they take elements that were from the comic book and they incorporate it, and that's why we have been accepting it, because they show some kind of love,
Yeah.
right? They're still like, we respect the comic book. We're not going to copy the comic book, but we respect the comic book.
Mhm.
capture the essence, the spirit of what it was
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
Then,
Right.
And at the end of the day, sometimes like if we make it like the comic, it won't be a good movie, whether because
Yeah.
of budget or casting, the case may be. And you want to make sure that it is more than anything a good movie.
Marvel, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary. No, Gary, go ahead first.
To your point, you said before, Marvel was the first ones I feel like they did treat the fans right in the fact that this is what it was, because as you said, I remember the time when all we had to watch was Batman, the Michael Keatons,
Yeah.
and Christopher. And you know what they would do? they would take a comic name, and instead of getting someone to put input into it from the comics, they would just go, "You're a comic writer. We're giving it to," and they would just do whatever they wanted.
Oh
so
yeah,
on
limited into Bane.
Yeah, I mean, so Marvel does, like you said, and hopefully they keep doing that, is they captured the essence of they'd say Captain America is this. Now you can change these things, but he is the Boy Scout, he is the hero, and hopefully they keep doing that with the phases going on.
Yeah, another book that's coming out, another show that they revealed. We're gonna be really brief on this one. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
I'm excited.
I'm not gonna lie, the animation for this cartoon looks really good.
It's a fun story for newer comic book readers and a younger audience. That's why I like it. It came out as such a good book, and it was very popular. It blew up, and I was excited to see that they're at least doing a cartoon something for the younger generation.
Yeah, and this Moon Girl has no relationship to Moon Knight. She's her own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Devil Dinosaur has some rich history in the comics.
Yes.
He is a creation of the one and only Jack the King Kirby. Right? And I think it was Moon Boy was the original character. It was Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur. So Moon Girl's just she's a smart kid. She's supposed to be like the smartest 13-year-old in the Marvel universe. So there's that. And it's just fun to see that's there. I'm happy that we're gonna get this, because I think the kids deserve a cute little cartoon, which will have plenty of cameos from what I know. Because I saw the trailer and there's a lot of cameos, and unfortunately they won't let me play the trailer because they won't let you put a kid's trailer in a playlist. I don't know. That's weird.
Silly copyright infringement.
It's not even a copyright infringement. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird. All right.
I just like, because I grew up on cartoons, and that's why I draw, and it's something that fueled me as a kid. I just hope we get more cartoons for a younger generation as well. I agree. A year, get some ongoing shows, make it fun for everybody.
Awesome. All right, now let's go to our last one that we wanted to talk about, and we'll talk about some of the other ones. But the last thing that they revealed, not much of a reveal, but they just continued, and that's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So before Akili starts talking to us where we are with Black Panther, let's go ahead and watch the trailer. Let's go ahead and talk about this trailer as we see it. So let me go ahead and share that screen for you guys to see. Okay, so it'll be nice if I hit that play button, right? There we go. No woman, no cry. All right, so we get this nice little scenery here.
This movie's going to be gorgeous.
This is the one movie that they're not sharing us too much. But I think it's largely because they don't need to.
No.
Right? It's one of those movies that you're going to go see it. We guarantee you're going to see it.
And the look of it is a bit different. It's like they sprinkled just a little bit of that Zack Snyder dust on it just to give everything a bit more of a pop. I don't know what they did, but it really does look amazing.
It looks like a really good music video, doesn't it?
Right.
Right? So we got here the birth of Namor.
Yes.
Right? The Submariner. Look at the little wings on his feet. And look at that headdress. That's what I'm talking about here.
And the Atlanteans on the whales. Like this the color scheme for this movie reminds me of like Winter Soldier.
I can see that.
Winter Soldier was so different and it set it apart. That's why Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU project, because the way it looks.
Yeah, and we got Riri Williams, who's going to be Ironheart.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little baby Namor. Now we got big grown-up Namor. All right, M'Baku.
The Jabari, yeah. The detail is just magnificent. Yeah. Like, this movie's going to be insane.
Look at that. Angela Bassett. How can Namoretta, Everett Ross. I don't know, man. This movie.
It's crazy because we could all sit here in silence and watch it. We all
just look at it. You don't even have to say it. You just look at it. You're like, oh my goodness. It's amazing.
This was the first trailer that Marvel's put out in a while that I went, "Whew, this looks good."
Yeah.
The music and everything. When you see it gets you.
Yeah.
What was so great about this to me was that it didn't tell us much. It didn't tell us much, right?
Which
It
is how
just
previews should be, in my opinion.
yeah, that's how trailers should be, right? Exactly. You're exactly right. We didn't get a lot. There wasn't a lot to be revealed, but it was just enough for us to be excited because we were waiting for it, right? Now, this was not debuted in D23. This was debuted in San Diego. Um, but before we start talking, talk to me, Achilles. Tell me a little bit about where we are with Black Panther.
Well, Wakanda is, which I love, an African country that it secretly has all this advanced technology and stuff like that, because they have vibranium, that little special metal. Now, T'Challa took the throne when his dad died, but then even at his ceremony, he had to fight M'Baku to hold on to that title. And when his little cousin, Eric Stevens, Killmonger, pops up, he ends up having to fight him as well for the throne. When it's all said and done in Black Panther, it's all kind of just geared towards having T'Challa really earn the title as King of Wakanda. And then, and of course, he goes off in the blip in Endgame and he disappears, but he comes back. And somewhere between Endgame and the startup of Wakanda Forever, T'Challa dies. I don't know if it's been revealed. I don't know in terms of like what
No, they haven't shared how they're going to do the passing.
So once again, it is just who's going to sit on the throne. That's the focus of it, and speculation. Everybody, I think most people have like who they think it's going to be, which is sometimes different than who they would want it to be. And the preview doesn't really let you know. It just it gives you a showcase of like all the different people that are going to be that could be the new Black Panther. But I like the idea of the king of Wakanda not being the same as who the Black Panther is.
Yeah. So before we even get there, we did see the debut of a character that they've been putting on hold for a bit. Right? I think the only other character that's been put on hold more than this character has been Nova.
Yeah. Oh my. We could talk
right?
about Nova. He's like
we
my
could talk
favorite.
Nova, right?
He's like my favorite Marvel character, and I haven't seen him.
Right, but we've seen everything about him, right?
But now, so for Namor, because was it Namor a mutant?
Yes, Namor is considered to be the
mutant,
first mutant.
But he started. Did he start in Fantastic Four, or was he part of the Invaders before that?
So Namor is a very interesting character because he actually has two first appearances. And the reason why he has two first appearances is because Namor is Marvel's oldest superhero in the Marvel Universe. He debuted in Marvel Comics #1. So he is considered to be the first superhero. Right? He's definitely Atlantean. He's the king of Atlantis, even though for this movie they are going to change that so they wouldn't confuse it with Aquaman. Right? So they are going to change it. I'm sure in the movie they'll probably reference Atlantis and then say it's something else afterwards and kind of like throw it in there, which I'm fine with. I don't think anybody cares about that. He's what an anti-hero really is, because he cares about his nation, but he's also kind of an environmentalist in that way, where he loves his nation, but he hates the pollution that man brings. Therefore,
but even then, like to say I hate humans because of what they're doing to the planet, that's completely fair. And
yeah, but that's the point. That's why he falls under the umbrella of anti-hero.
But how's he even anti? To me, he's more of a hero.
I agree. But because he's against humans, that makes him kind of a villain. And he comes across first of all, he comes across as a jerk.
Yeah.
Because he's not a nice guy. He's a jerk. and he's a king, and he's arrogant. One of Namor's biggest things is that he's extremely arrogant,
Yeah.
right? But he's a king, so he kind of has that right in a way. But he's very much like Aquaman, where he's half human, so he's not even full Atlantean. Now, the character that's playing him, his name is Dencho Huerta, who is a Mexican actor, but he also has Aztec origins. So they really are going to go into that whole Aztec, Maya feel with them and look and feel with them, which I kind of like it, because you know what? I think Atlanteans should look different, should feel different.
Well, and is it fair to say that Marvel has yet to have a Hispanic lead?
It is fair, but I don't think this is going to count as a Hispanic lead.
I mean,
I would say we gotta, if he's a Hispanic lead, we got one in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, we got America Chavez, who's.
Well, I'm saying, like, she would, but for that she's supporting cast. But like Moon Knight, I mean, it's a Hispanic actor.
Yes.
Right. But
so it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same thing as Oscar Isaac, where Oscar Isaac's not Egyptian; he's Hispanic, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing with this character; he's not playing a Hispanic character.
But I don't Aztec. So, as a Puerto Rican, I'll take it if I can get it.
What was that? Well, we got the Puerto Rican with Chavez. So,
no.
Even though I think Chavez is more of a Cuban name,
but.
Anyway, so we get that, and the whole battle is between the Atlanteans. I can't remember what they call them, Talians or something like that, versus Wakanda, and that's gonna be the whole concept of the movie, them battling out with each other. But the other aspect of the movie is, as you said earlier, is who's gonna be the new Black Panther. So in the comics, we had a situation like that, and this is where, as we said earlier, the comics were being changed for the movies. This is where the movie's changing because of the comic, because of what happened to the late great Chadwick Boseman, right? That he passed away unexpectedly. So they decided, how are we gonna continue this franchise without our franchise leader? So the idea is, who is going to be the mantle of the new Black Panther? And we all believe that it's going to be a woman, and many people believe it's going to be Shuri, his sister. I am on the fence on that one, and I think she still would most likely be it. However, there are some other candidates that people are talking about. What do you guys think?
I think one of the big rumors I've read, and I think would be smart, is that Shuri does take the mantle of the Black Panther, which normally, if you're the king, you are the Black Panther. But a lot of people are saying it's probably going to be, she will be the Black Panther, but the king of Wakanda will become M'Baku, and he'll take over as the king, and the Black Panther will be separate from being king. And I think that'd be an interesting way to go, because those, I think, in my mind, with the fans, were the two big, those were the ones that people said. I think some people said he should be Black Panther. Some people said she should. And, I think that would be a smart way to go, working together in that way.
What about the rest of you guys? What do you guys say?
I think it's going to be Shuri.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think that the smartest thing, I was hoping that it would be, God, what is this chick's name? Let me look here.
Okoye?
No, Lupita. That's the one who I liked from the beginning. I think she's the most unlikely of all the people that be on there. But I think the smartest thing that Marvel, the MCU, did was that by not saying who it's going to be, to get that opening weekend box office numbers high, like who wants to find out by watching the movie, and who's going to go ahead and let everybody else see the movie that weekend, and then they got to hear it secondhand or spoiled on social media. So the amount of people that are going to see Wakanda Forever that opening weekend just to find out who's going to be the new Black Panther. Yeah. So but if it's just to me, if it was any of the people that are on the screen right now, I would be happy with it. If it was M'Baku, I'd be happy with it being him. Like, I like all the characters, and that's a testament to the movie itself that that I think whoever it is, it'll be. I wouldn't say like, oh, they picked the wrong person.
Yeah, like all signs are pointing to Shuri, right, being it, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Nakia takes the role or takes the mantle, right? Because it's a little different, but I don't think people will complain about it. It's not Okoye because she's gonna go into her own thing.
Yeah, they announced
She's gonna get a TV show. She's gonna do her own thing. So I doubt if she's gonna be the Black Panther. Now, a lot of rumors say that Ramota, that's how I believe, if I butchered her name, I'm sorry. Angela Bassett's character might take up the mantle. I think if it happens, she's doing it just for a brief moment in time, where she just has to take the mantle for a moment, and then it's passed on. So I think this is the best kept secret right now in the MCU. It's better kept than, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield returning to Spider-Man, right? That was one of the worst kept secrets. But one thing they did do is that they didn't, no matter what they did, we all knew it was happening. We were all feeling it was going to happen, but they never really said anything until the movie came out. Here, we don't even know. We have no idea.
We have no set photos, no leaks.
We got nothing.
Rumors that are like, oh,
there is nothing. We know nothing, and I hope it happens that way. I hope they don't give us this little reveal afterwards. After a week, I don't care anymore because a week's gonna stop by and say, "See it again." That's what they're gonna be. That's how they're gonna be advertising it. Because if you don't see that movie that first week, you're gonna get spoiled. You're gonna get spoiled, and no matter how you try it, you're gonna find out. So to get butts in the seats, I honestly believe they're going to keep this a secret up to the very day.
It says something too. I remember Marvel, when they would replace an actor or something, they had said the character is bigger than the actor, where certain movies, and I think they even kind of got a feeler after he passed. Should we wait and recast it, or should we, honor the actor? And it just shows how well he did in the role, and just in all his roles, that people were like, no, you're not recasting him. You're not bringing T'Challa back. And, I don't know if Marvel ever had an idea too, but if they did, they certainly listened to the fans, that they were like, okay, yeah, we're going to honor his legacy.
Yeah.
Which stinks because we all wanted to see him continue as Black Panther, but,
And I think for what happened, I think we respect that enough with the character. I think one day we will see another Black Panther someday. Sooner or later they're gonna have to reset all this, right?
In this movie, someone's taking up the mantle.
Yeah.
So sooner or later they're gonna have to reset. The MCU will die one day, and a new MCU will come. I hate to say it, it's gonna happen. The DCEU might happen a lot faster, but that's for a different time. All right. And Achilles, I'm with you. I love my DC. But man, they're screwed up. they're a mess over there.
They manage to break my heart again
every time, man.
When they find new ways to disappoint me every time.
And it's not just them; it's like the actors. I don't know what's going on in the mind of Ezra Miller. So but this is by far the most anticipated movie of the year. Mm-hmm. I do believe it's gonna blow everybody's socks away at the end. So that first week, man, I'm seeing that movie that Thursday night, man. Thursday,
you gotta see
I'll have my ticket. By Friday, we're gonna do a spoiler review, guys. So if you guys are down, we're doing the spoiler review for Black Panther. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna spoil the living crap out of it. But this movie is by far their biggest movie to date. I don't think any other movie besides Spider-Man was any bigger. But with that being said, guys, let me close this out. What did you miss from D23? I did mention the Fantastic Four. So my question is, who's going to be the Fantastic Four?
Did they say when that movie's supposed to come out? Like, they
did give a time frame. It's supposed to be the start.
Phase 5.
Yeah, they did mention that. So what do you guys think? Do you think John's coming back?
No,
You don't think John Krasinski?
I like the fan casting of the guy who played the Maniac in You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's,
Not even
I know who
sure.
you're talking about. I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
I like the idea of him being Reed Richards. I like the Jason Segel idea for Ben Grimm.
Really? They mentioned what's his name? Oh my goodness, his name's escaping me now. Seth Rogen as Ben Grimm.
I
That
think
name is tossed around.
I
I
know.
think
And I think his laugh is what's gonna do it for me. Let the thing laugh once, and I'm gonna just start dying the rest of the movie.
There's this great if you ever watched the Muppets had this new show that popped up in Disney Plus that Seth Rogen was like a guest, and they had these old babies and it just kept on saying Rogen. Watch it. If you ever get a chance to watch it. Look it up. It's hilarious. Like the babies were doing all sorts of terrible things. They were Muppet babies, but not the Muppet babies, but they were just they were baby Muppets. And they would just say Rogan, and then they're like just dying or something like that, doing some stupid thing. What do you think about Doom? Do you think we're gonna get Doom?
I don't know
In this-
about if he's going to be in that movie, but he's coming. I mean, you're not.
Oh,
gonna
Doom!
wait.
I think he's definitely coming. You gonna do Secret Wars without Doom?
Yeah.
That'd be wrong.
Yeah, he's gonna show. He has to show up. We don't know. We don't know when
So-
or where at this point because just.
So Jimmy Lee says, please.
I agree.
I like the Jason Segel idea.
I like John Krasinski come back, Pam as the Invisible Woman, Dwight as the Thing.
Oh my goodness! You said
Scott
Dwight.
Michael Scott could be the Human
No.
Torch.
No. Dwight should be Doom.
Ah, yes.
Why should be Dr. Doom?
He comes in. Question.
And we never see his face.
Oh,
We
And
never
Creed
see his
is
face.
The Human Torch.
I mean, I think
Kevin Malone is the Human Torch.
yes.
You said Kevin Malone?
Yeah, Kevin from The Office is the Human Torch.
Another
Post Malone?
multiverse. It's out there.
No,
You
no,
want
it's
Post
Kevin
Malone as the Human Torch? I honestly, they have. So John Krasinski is the fan favorite.
Yes.
Most people want John Krasinski, but I think to get John Krasinski, I think you gotta get a suit that works with him, right? And that's why his wife, her name's escaping me, guys.
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. That's why she would have been, and I think that's what made it so interesting. It's like if you got her to play Sue, that's it. You got your ticket. People are gonna buy the tickets. They're gonna see just to see them too. And you could throw in whatever you want. Your Puerto Rican, Johnny Storm there. You get the Puerto Rican Johnny Storm, right? We already had a black one, right?
Listen, if they put Seth Rogen to even play Reed Richards, would it be any worse than
No. Seth Rogen as Ben Grimm.
I know, but I'm saying, no, whatever they do to this one, would it be worse than the other ones?
Now, I would say, how do you guys feel about that Fantastic Four movie that came out, the first one, not the crappy one that fake Roger
with Chris Evans as Human Torch?
Yeah, I kind of like it. I have
For
a
the
soft
time,
spot for it.
it honors the
For its
comics.
time.
Yeah.
It had a soft. Michael Chiklis as Ben Grimm was great. I think he was one
Galactus
of my.
was terrible in the second, but I like the Silver Surfer in it. I mean, you got to remember, this was a time when we were hungry for anything we could get, and they were figuring out what works on screen and what.
Now
doesn't.
that's a good idea. Give me Seth Rogen as Mole Man. Yeah, that would be good.
I like that one.
I would like to see a Seth Rogen Mole Man. Whew. Hey guys, it's been over an hour. We've been talking. It's been great. I can't wait till we do this again when we start talking about Black Panther next time. Yeah. We'll get to some DC love, okay, Achilles? We'll talk a little bit about Flash and all the Ezra Miller. What did he do this week?
Black Adam, right? When Black Adam comes out.
Yeah, Black Adam, man. That movie does look. I'm actually interested in seeing Black Adam.
Oh, that JSA is horrible. I'm sorry.
Come on. Well, Hawkman, I don't know. I don't know about Hawkman, but man, Dr. Fate, man.
Listen,
Pierce Brosnan.
Good casting there, I think.
If you
There's
want to
like
love
the
the
one
Hawkman
good
in Black Adam,
exclusive.
just look at the one that was in Legends of Tomorrow, and you will think that the one in Black Adam deserves every award out there to be given.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and kick it off. Starting with the Hungry Artist. Where can people find you?
You can go to hungryartist.net if you want to order any custom artwork or illustrations, or on Amazon. My comic Thray is out, Thray, the Hero's Odyssey. And if you're an Edgar Allan Poe fan, on Amazon, I have an illustrated The Raven on there, and you can find that all on my website as well. Links there.
Thanks, Gary. Achilles, where can people find you?
They can find me at Planet Achilles, where planetachilles.com. There's shirts, mugs, even shower curtains, things like that, showcasing all of my different art pieces.
You got shower curtains?
I have a Golden Grapes shower curtain that I put on as a joke. And believe it or not, that has sold more than anything else. I just thought it would be funny, and like people actually, the Golden Grapes.
I don't even know where to go from there. Nate, where can people find you, bro?
You can find me on Instagram at right there at Nateswa Art, and then the link in bio for nateswa-art.com for my sketch covers, my prints, my books. As far as my published work, comicexposure.com. They carry my books, so
You're gonna have some exclusives for New York Com, right?
yeah, they announced it yesterday. I was the big reveal for their countdown yesterday. There were like 25 exclusives. I was number 3. New York Comic Con exclusive Boogeyman #1.
Boogeyman #1, yeah. And then the Jets. I gotta get my copy of the Jets. I think I do have a copy here. I was given one of those copies. The Jets.
Yeah, it came out last week. And then Jets
Came out, yeah. The Jets. We're giving that one away. I'm giving that one away as well. And you're gonna be with me in the the Queen's Comic Party this Sunday. I don't have an address, but look it up. It's gonna be there. Let's see. It's gonna be CWV Post 870 at 39646 61st Street.
That's not a normal
Cycling.
address. They gave longitude and latitude.
Yeah.
Like they gave us those numbers for the address.
I know, right? Well, we're gonna be there, you and I, right? We're gonna be doing
Yes.
some stuff. I'm gonna have some giveaways. Again, I have a lot of stuff to give away. Again, I'm thinking about this Batman, man. This Batman's got to go somewhere. So
You got to give these stuff away. I think Batman's a dope giveaway for that
look
weekend.
at that, right? So we got, and again, I got all this other stuff, man. I just got to give away for IzzyFest, man. IzzyFest begins this Sunday, guys. Again, for you guys to be a part of IzzyFest, all you gotta do is subscribe to the Izzy channel. Make sure you leave a comment, because that's how I know you want it. Just tell me I want to be part of IzzyFest. That's it. Leave a comment that says I want to be part of the IzzyFest, and you'll be entered to win a prize. There is one prize given to a person every day for the week. The whole week I am giving stuff away. September 18th to the 24th. Go out there. I'm also going to be giving away stuff at the Queen's Comic Party. And then we're going to wrap up IzzyFest with the Whatnot that Friday to come. Guys, it's been a blast. I've loved this show. I love talking to you guys. Stick around for a few minutes. We're going to end this. But as far as everyone else goes, we'll see you next time in the Izzyverse. Excelsior.